your personality or your beliefs. We're talking about a rise in anti-Semitism around the country, some of it by supporters in your name. What do you
and some of it, and can I be honest with you? And this has to do with racism and horrible things that are put up. Some of it written by our opponents. You do know that. Do you understand that? You don't think anybody would do a thing like that. Some of the signs you'll see are not put up by the people that love or like Donald Trump. They're put up by the other side. And you think it's like playing it straight? No. But you have some of those signs, and some of that anger is caused by the other side. They'll do signs and they'll do drawings that are inappropriate. It won't be my people. It will be the people on the other side to anger people like you.
Coming from NBC on August 9th, 2017, they are telling us that an Israeli-American man has been accused of masterminding more than 200 bomb threats and hoax phone calls to Jewish community centers and schools. Remember that? That they're saying set off a wave of panic in the U.S. and across the world. Well, this guy allegedly offered his services on the dark web for a fee. And they go on to tell us that a newly unsealed FBI search warrant lays out how this 19-year-old Israeli-American man, Michael Ron David Kadar, was arrested by Israeli police in March. That he attempted to lure customers on the black market site AlphaBay with an ad entitled, quote, "School Email Bomb Threat Service," end quote. And his ad stated that, quote, "I email bomb threats to schools on your requests. If you feel you need someone to do this job for you, then this service is for you," end quote. They say that Michael Ron David Kadar posted this in March under the username darknet_legend. This is according to the FBI affidavit. No wonder President Trump scoffed at that journalist who just had to have him pledge on national TV right then and there.
Watch how friendly he is. Go ahead.
I've been good through the entire campaign, Mr. President. So, first of all, my name is Jake Turks from Ami Magazine, and despite what some of my colleagues may have been reporting, I haven't seen anybody in my community accuse either yourself or anyone on your staff of being anti-Semitic. We understand that you have Jewish grandchildren. You are their Zaidi. However, what we are concerned about, and what we haven't really heard being addressed, is an uptick in anti-Semitism and how the government is planning to take care of it. There's been a report out that 48 bomb threats have been made against Jewish centers all across the country in the last couple of weeks. There are people who are committing anti-Semitic acts or threatening to.
See, he said he was going to ask a very simple, easy question. And it's not. It's not a simple question, not a fair question. Okay, sit down. I understand the rest of your question. So here's the story, folks. Number one, I am the least anti-Semitic person that you've ever seen in your entire life. Number two, racism, the least racist person. In fact, we did very well relative to other people running as a Republican. Quiet, quiet, quiet. See, he lied about he was going to get up and ask a very straight, simple question. So, you know, it's welcome to the world of the media. But let me just tell you something, that I hate the charge. I find it repulsive. I hate even the question, because people that know me, and you heard the Prime Minister, you heard Netanyahu yesterday. Did you hear him? Bibi. He said, I've known Donald Trump for a long time. And then he said, forget it. So you should take that instead of having to get up and ask a very insulting question like that.
So the article goes on to say that AlphaBay, which is part of the counterfeit dark web, was shut down last month when Attorney General Jeff Sessions called it, quote, one of the most important criminal investigations of the year, end quote. I can think of a couple of others. Can't you? Well, the site was blamed for allowing the sale of illicit items, including weapons and drugs, and used bitcoins and other cryptocurrencies for transactions. Kadar. Oh. Pardon me. Michael Ron David Kadar, who in the article they do show covering his face, and I will leave a link to this, you better believe it, in the description box. So apparently this guy, Michael Ron David Kadar, in his post wrote that he could also frame someone as part of his service. Say what the...
I would now like to introduce Oren Siegel, who's the director of the ADL Center on Extremism, who will talk in greater detail about Juan Thompson. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, thank you for being here. 31-year-old Juan Thompson was arrested in St. Louis and is believed to be responsible for at least 8 of the recent bomb threats made to Jewish institutions and the threat to ADL's national office here in New York. This suggests that there are additional perpetrators still at large responsible for the over 100 other threats targeting Jewish institutions.
This guy, Michael Ron David Kadar, in his post wrote that he could also frame someone as part of his service. Say what the... But there was no guarantee that the police will question or arrest the framed person, the affidavit said. The price list, by the way, started at $30. Can you believe it?
I shit you not, motherfucker.
$30 for an emailed bomb threat to a school, and went up to $90 for multiple schools plus the framing option, the FBI said. And it appears that at least one person in California used the service. After searching through AlphaBay, prosecutors said they found a potential co-conspirator who may still be charged. And the affidavit also gives examples of the threats. In this article, they start talking about Michael Ron David Kadar as being a dual Israeli-American citizen. How does that happen? I just don't get it. And why is Israeli first before American? If you know, leave a comment below. Well, he was indicted by Israeli prosecutors and charged by the U.S. Justice Department in connection with threatening communications. And they say that these authorities have tied him to threats, hoaxes, and extortion attempts. Let me repeat that. Authorities have tied him to threats, hoaxes, and extortion attempts to more than 2,000 Jewish community centers, schools, airlines, police stations, and other institutions spanning more than 2 years.
Police in Israel say this 18-year-old American Israeli is behind a series of bomb threats that terrorize Jewish communities around the world.
We managed to get to that suspect after having concrete intelligence from different security agencies around the world. He is the main suspect behind threatening different communities, both in New Zealand, Australia, across America.
The bomb threats, often detailed and vitriolic, were made over the past few months against dozens of Jewish community centers, day schools, and synagogues. While most, over 150, were in the United States, some Canadian Jewish organizations also had to evacuate after bomb threats. Today, there were mixed feelings about the arrest.
We're relieved that police have apprehended a suspect. At the same time, our community is shocked and outraged that the suspect is Jewish. The idea that someone from our own community would launch a campaign to terrorize our community institutions is appalling.
Police seized computer equipment when they arrested the teenager. They say he used sophisticated technology to make the calls over the internet, masking his location. Authorities have not released the suspect's name, but media reports in Israel suggest he may have a brain tumor.
I shit you not, motherfucker.
But media reports in Israel suggest he may have a brain tumor that affects his behavior. His lawyer hinted at that.
This is a young person that, because of his very, very serious medical condition, didn't serve in the army, didn't go to high school, didn't go to elementary school. So that's why the medical condition can actually affect the investigation.
Israeli police also suspect the teen was behind a 2015 bomb threat that forced a Delta Airlines flight to return to New York's JFK airport. The judge ordered that the teen should undergo a medical examination.
Well, yeah, I think that this guy should get the book thrown at his face. Because, number one, he created a false fear that was then used as a weapon towards our president. And what I mean by that is all these trumped up threats was used to push our president into pledging his allegiance to AIPAC. Okay? And what did our president do? Well, he tried to wave and poo-poo this journalist away, but he was very persistent, wasn't he? Which sort of ticked off our president, if you know what I mean. Now, why, if our president was as some have suggested, a Zionist and beholden by friendship to Netanyahu, why would our president get so damn irritated at that question that reporter threw at him? And then we had Hillary Clinton come out that same day talking about how President Trump should on national television and say that he denounces anti-Semitism.
Race for the White House now, Donald Trump caught in the middle of a Twitter firestorm once again. This tweet at the center of it, Hillary Clinton calling the use of that star anti-Semitic. But late today, Trump doubling down, calling her the most corrupt candidate ever. Here's ABC's Mary Bruce.
Tonight, Donald Trump on the defensive over this image, a tweet showing what appears to be the Jewish Star of David over a backdrop of money, labeling Hillary Clinton the most corrupt candidate ever. Critics say it smacks of anti-Semitism, but Trump is pointing fingers, tweeting the dishonest media is trying their absolute best to depict a star in a tweet as the Star of David rather than a sheriff's star or a plain star. On CNN, a top Trump aide vouching for the candidate's character.
There was nothing anti-Semitic about our campaign, certainly nothing anti-Semitic about Mr. Trump.
But no explanation of how the campaign came across that image, which was previously posted in a white supremacist chat room. It's now been changed, the star replaced with a circle. Trump.
Now, why, if our president was as some have suggested, a Zionist and beholden by friendship to Netanyahu, why would our president get so damn irritated at that question that reporter threw at him? And then we had Hillary Clinton come out that same day talking about how President Trump should on national television and say that he denounces anti-Semitism. Well, of course he does. We all know this. However, he did come out and denounce this anti-Semitism.
I'm deeply proud that we now have a museum that honors the millions of African-American men and women who built our national heritage, especially when it comes to faith, culture, and the unbreakable American spirit. My wife was here last week and took a tour, and it was something that she's still talking about. That is where
he did this so-called denouncing. And I thought that that was right, how he did that. I imagine it's got to be pretty hard to sidestep this pledging that's been going on up in Washington for quite some time now. And, you know, President Trump, he may be in his 70s, but he's pretty flight of foot.
North Korea best not make any more threats to the United States. They will be met with fire and fury like the world has never seen. He has been very threatening beyond a normal statement. And as I said, they will be met with fire, fury, and frankly power, the likes of which this world has never seen before.
This has been me, the People Perspectives. Break this news.